Good morning, and we are live. Do apologize. We're going to go as long as I can today. I just got my voice back this morning, and I do apologize for my voice today. I left it all out there during the King's Day protest, man. I really did. It was a fantastic day. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. So I'm going to try to let's just dig right into it. I don't want to lose my voice. Happy Father's Day, everybody. I hope your day is going as well as mine. I've got some family coming over. We're gonna have a nice dinner. It's gonna be a wonderful day. I hope your day is gonna be as good as mine. Glenn Kaneko here. Yes, I had a great Saturday at my local King's Day rally. Really surprised by the turnout here in this small town. Great job by the organizers. Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show. That is the sentiment that I am hearing from everyone that showed up. A lot of people that don't normally get involved with these things. You know, we've been begging people for the longest time, get involved with your local party, get involved with these local events. And a lot of people did. There was a huge number of people from our community there at our local rally here in Tyler. I don't know how many people I hugged yesterday. They just came running up. Hey, are you? Yeah, just from our community, just from our community. The turnouts were amazing, but people that were showing up they were just shocked. They were like, "Wow, I thought this was going to be negative. It's not. It's really positive." I mean, it was a sentiment I heard over and over again, and I've read over and over again on social media. That people just and this is what I'm telling you, man. It's such an amazing thing. But I don't want to get too far ahead of that. We'll talk about that more later on in the show. Um, I want to end on something positive. We're going to talk about something a little bit heavy here. Randy Oliver, thank you, Texas Paul. You give you give your all happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you too, sir. Happy Father's Day to you too, sir. And thanks for being here for supporting the show all the time, Randy. One of our foundational members. He's here every show helping us out. Dave Ingham, happy Father's Day. No Kings, 11 million strong from coast to coast. Yeah, it was huge. It was huge. I am so proud of you folks. Greg Edmond, best Trump nickname yet, Kim Jong-loon. I haven't heard that one before. That is great. That is great. Kim Jong-loon. That is great. Oh my God. Marcia Klepper, happy Father's Day to all you great daddies out there. Thank you, Marcia, for always being here. Thank you for always being here. First thing we're going to talk about is what's going on up in Minnesota. This is Melissa and Mark Hortman and their family. They have two adult children, Colin and Sophie. They were murdered by an insane Maga Evangelical freak by the name of Vance Boelter. And we're going to talk a little bit about Vance Boelter today. Thank you, Sarah Davis. I appreciate you. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers, even fathers of fur babies. Yeah. That's a good one. That is a good one. Yeah. Mark and Melissa Hortman are survived by their two adult children, Colin and Sophie, and our hearts go out to them. I can't imagine losing a parent this way. I can't imagine the mixture of emotions. I mean, you would just want Grief and sadness at loss is one thing. When someone dies of old age, would some say, I could not imagine rage mixed with that grief, and my heart just goes out to these two. I This is going to be hell on earth for them, surreal. If you haven't lost someone close to you, it's like a bomb goes off in your life. That footage you see in movies where they show people and they're dazed and confused, and there's no sound. A bomb has just gone off, and they can't hear, they can't see. That is the disorientation that losing someone close to you inflicts on you when you lose someone close. And I could not imagine mixing into that the rage of having such a senseless, stupid, selfish, vile act take that person that you love. I just couldn't. Vincent Day, happy Father's Day, Paul. Keep sharing the knowledge with us. Thank you. Thank you for always being here. Thank you. In my opinion, the things going on in LA had been the thing to get many people to be involved than if they had not. Talk about self-defeating. Everything that the Trump regime is doing is spurring our base. It is spurring our base. It is everything from immigration to foreign policy to the economy, all of it. This is John and Yvette Hoffman. They were also shot by Vance Boelter. They survived, went through surgery. I'm going to try to get through this without getting choked up. They survived. They're still in critical condition. They're cautiously optimistic they're going to survive. Yvette, after the gunman opened fire, it is being reported that Yvette threw herself on her daughter, Hope. They're survived by their daughter, Hope, who's a very young adult, who was staying with them at the time. And, to protect her daughter, from this animal, this Maga freak evangelical nutball animal, she threw herself on her daughter. And I don't even know the words. Mothers are amazing. They're incredible. They are incredible. But yeah, this is Vance Luther Boulter. He is still on the run. I was telling people yesterday there was a lot of speculation, and I was, urging people, don't speculate. Don't speculate about this. Just wait till we find out. And then we had the briefing, and from what I heard in the briefing, I was like, okay, look, folks, they know who this is. They've already sworn out warrants. They've captured his vehicle. We figured out how he was able to make a vehicle that impersonated a police vehicle, and why he was that they knew it had to be somebody that was either a cop or cop adjacent. This guy was a supervisor of a security company, that those security companies that do patrols around neighborhoods and businesses and whatnot. So yeah, the equipment and that would be all stuff that they would order through his job. And that's how he was able to replicate the police car. That's how he was able to appear to fool these people into thinking that he was a cop. Last I read, when I was preparing the show, he is still on the run. We haven't heard any announcements. If you folks hear an announcement or anything like that he's been captured or anything during the show, please let us know in the live chat. But he is a right-wing MAGA freak. But And this is something that I am going to do a deep dive on here in the show. I'm going to spend some resources looking into this. This is something that has always bothered me, and it happened again with this. But this is what's going on in the right wing hemisphere about this. They are, of course, spinning misinformation. This is very typical bullshit. He was a leftist and worked for Tim Walz. He assassinated that woman because she voted against healthcare for illegals. Why are you libtards so clueless? Yeah. No, that is not who he was. That's not his motivation. None of that. None of that is accurate. He didn't work for Tim Walz. He was on a commission. And this narrative was put out immediately and circulated throughout the right-wing sphere immediately. And I'm going to spend a little time. I want to do a deep dive into who's doing this. Who's putting these stories out? How is this being circulated? We know this happens. Do you folks know Keith Olbermann? Are y'all familiar with Keith Olbermann? He's a hero of mine. He was one of the first people that I ever gravitated to in politics. Used to have a show on MSNBC. Lori Yates, thanks for being here. Happy Father's Day to you, Lori. To yours. Not to you, of course. I'm not calling you a father. I'm saying to yours. Happy Father's Day to you and yours. Pamela, thanks for always being here to support the show. I'm very grateful. But yeah, Keith Olbermann, let me get you a picture. I should have had a picture of him up. Be patient with me. Keith Olbermann. And the reason I'm going to pick this picture is it's relevant to what I'm saying. Okay, this is Keith Olbermann, and I've got a picture of him with Laura Ingraham. Keith Olbermann on the left. Just a great orator, extremely good at cutting through issues. I have mad respect for Keith Olbermann. I do. Early in his career, he dated Laura Ingraham briefly. That's why I chose that picture. And the reason this is relevant is we're talking about how this misinformation gets out and about. And he talked about this later on. He didn't kiss and tell with Laura Ingraham. He's a gentleman. He isn't. But he talked about the fact that it blew his mind as someone on the left. He was on the left. And there are some couples that are like that are left and right. That they're on opposite spheres, yet for some reason romance blossoms. And again, this was a very short relationship. I don't want to get lost in the weeds on their relationship or whatever. But he went to her apartment, and her fax machine was there, and it went nuts. Boom, 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 boom. And that's when he realized that she was the hub for right-wing information at the time. And let me explain what I mean by that. One of the things that those of us that do what I do, that come up, through the political trenches, have always been extremely frustrated that we Democrats kind of are playing catch up politically. The right-wingers always get on a talking point, and they are all on that talking point. All of them. And they repeat it over and over and over and over again. Remember, that's how you make a lie truth. You repeat the same talking point over and over and over and over again. Well, we're talking back in the day when they were using fax machines and going out in front of cameras and stuff and talking about it. Yeah, it was Keith Olbermann that exposed that Laura Ingraham really was the kind of the nexus for all of this. She had everybody's chief of staff and if you didn't, if you've never worked in the office back in the old days, I'm showing my age a little bit, and you used faxes, there were pre-programmed lists of numbers, and you could send one fax, but actually send it to 50 or 100 or 1,000 different recipients. And she had everybody's chief of staffs and the key communications people pre-programmed. They would generate a talking point and boom, out it would go. And all of a sudden, the entire right-wing sphere was on the same exact talking point. Well, we've got a new iteration of that with social media. And we saw it happen with this issue, this misinformation. And I'm gonna shred it apart real quick, folks. I am. Anthony Saints, it's time for some MAGA world with justice and hope that they stay in prison for longer than Trump mental state gets destroyed. I appreciate you being here, friend. I appreciate you, Anthony. I appreciate you for supporting the show. I'm very, very grateful. And y'all forgive how terribly I'm reading these. My voice is awful. I mean, I really, I had a great time yesterday. That was an amazing time yesterday. It really was. Don't kill me. I'm justified. Controversial question, but Paul, are we close to civil war, political assassinations, military on the street, massive protests? I'm nervous. No. It takes two to tango. You've got some radical, and we're going to talk about the radicalization on the right. That's been there for a long time. No, we're not close to a civil war. What you're seeing is the death throes of the Republican Party. An animal that's dying is always dangerous, always. And what we saw with the 2025 project, the Broligarchs, this was it, man. This was their last shot. They took the masks off. That's why Elon Musk destroyed his companies in his career, and the PayPal mafia. They're all just taking the mask off, shooting their last shots, and showing the world exactly what they are. Yes, we're going to cut your Medicaid. Yes, we're going to cut your Medicare. Yes, all those things that Democrats accused us of and we denied. Yeah, we're going to do it. I mean, this is their last shot, and they know it. They know it. So, no, there's not going to be a civil war, but it's going to be brutal, man. It's going to be brutal, and people need to be prepared for this fight. We are going to win. We are. Look at the No Kings rallies. Anyways, I don't want to get too far ahead of it. That's part of the narrative for this next part of the show. But no, to answer your question, no, I'm not worried about a civil war. Jade, happy Father's Day. Thank you, Jade. Thank you, Jade. I appreciate you. Caroline Burton, thank you. Thank you for supporting the show. I appreciate you. I do appreciate you. But yeah, I want to see how those talking points get out. I want to see in this modern era who's doing it with social media. Because, man, I tell you, before we even had confirmed information out of the police, I mean confirmed, because I won't go and do what these people rushing out to get clickbait do. I won't do it. I won't do it. It happened all day after this happened. The speculation. So many people got shit wrong. But these right-wingers, they had police information. For instance, this guy had No Kings, just not posters. They were just information sheets that had No Kings on it, stuff in the back of his car. Now, that was released without context to the right wing. So they supplied false context. Fox News let slip, because I was watching what the right-wing narrative was, they let slip that they also were privy to the manifesto. But they said on air, I mean, you can't, it's really hard for somebody to not confess. They wanted to talk about the No Kings information that was in the back of this guy's vehicle and spin that narrative. But they also had his manifesto and said, no, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to get too deep into that. We don't want to get, we don't want to get into that. That's just what, it's too soon. So you'll put this narrative out that's incorrect, because it's incorrect because you have the manifesto. It's incorrect because you have the manifesto, but you won't talk about the manifesto. So you're intentionally spinning an inaccurate picture of this guy on purpose. And while you're not confessing it, you're letting it slip that that's exactly what you're doing. But yeah, that is something I want to spend some time on, because it went directly from the police to social media with a pre-programmed narrative. That narrative that I just put out there for you, that showed you that is circulating, that she was killed by some radical left-winger because she voted against, and of course it fed to the bigotry. It fed to, this was not ham-handed. This was polished. That she was killed by a radical left-winger because she voted against health care for immigrants. That feeds the bigotry. It's everything that their base wants to believe. So that, you're getting a lot of them that are just clinging to it, and it's just factually inaccurate. It is just wrong. So let's shred that bullshit and then talk about who this guy actually was. Stop coddling stupid. The bigot cowards are in full-on panic mode. Stay salty. Thank you. First of all, the talking point that about killing her over this legislation that is against immigrants getting health care. No. Let me tell you about Melissa Hortman. Melissa Hortman was a former Speaker of the House. She was a Speaker Emeritus. Good chance she was going to be the next governor of Minnesota. There was. She was positioning herself for that run. And every governor is out there. Kathy Young, if the cops hadn't shown up to the second attack, imagine how many more might have died. Exactly. What she means there is after Melissa Hortman and Mark Hortman were murdered, the reports came out. So the police responded. The police will have a list of addresses, important addresses in a region. If something breaks out, they will immediately send a cruiser to those addresses just to do a welfare check. The police pulled up and they're like, there's already a cop car here. And they got out, and Boulter started firing at them. And he took off into the house. They pursued him to the house, but there was only two of them. They called for backup, and they couldn't secure the premises. So he snuck out the back and he got away on foot. And that's how he got away. And that's how they ended up seizing his vehicle and all of this information that told us who the guy was. And that's how I knew they had his DNA, because they had his vehicle, they had his, there's sweat secretions in the seat. There, you slough off cells around the cup holders. There's just your DNA is all over your car. It is. So, and the FBI was immediately brought in. Folks, the FBI can get a DNA result back in 90 minutes now. So yeah. I know they had confirmation of who this guy was by the time we were getting the press releases. And not to mention that they mentioned that they were swearing out warrants already, which told me they knew what address to go to. So that I knew they had the guy. I knew they had the guy dead to rights, everything but captured by the first press briefing. But again, so much misinformation, and let's just bat some of that down. Dorothy Devaney, appreciate you for supporting the show. I really do. What they were talking about, people don't even know what they're talking about. The vote that she made. You've got a lot of governors right now that are positioning themselves for 2028. Well, you also have a lot of people within the states that are positioning themselves to run for governor and higher office. And they're making votes right now to put themselves in those positions. Melissa Hortman did the exact same thing. There is a strategy that I'm butting heads with right now. I am telling every Democrat, every politician, every strategist, everyone that I come across, there is no receptive ear on the right. Doing things like this, which all of your major contenders running for president are trying to peel off just a little bit of the right, to get a little bit of the right to stay home and think that they're not radicals and they're softening their positions. I disagree with that. I do. Because again, I have never met any MAGA freak out there that was willing to hear anything. And these actions will be completely shrugged off because they will go find something else about these people that they hate. And that will be their excuse. So any steps like this that you take, you're just suppressing your own base. And you're not getting anything from the right. Stop reaching out to the right. But the big paid political strategists, the heavy hitters, are telling all of these people to do stupid shit like this. This is Gavin Newsom with Charlie fucking Kirk, a pure right-wing propagandist, thinking that he's going to peel away some young right-winger kid that's just not going to, that might think he's cool. No. All he did was pour gasoline on himself and set himself on fire. If Trump had not saved him with these ICE raids in LA and made Gavin Newsom look presidential, I mean, literally, Donald Trump rolled into California with a fire extinguisher, put the fire out that Gavin Newsom had, self-immolated himself with, and then handed him a whole new set of clothes and a hairdresser and made him look very pretty. But up until then, yeah, the base was hugely pissed off at Gavin Newsom. Jordan, we need our people to vote. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And that's one of the things that was so heartening about yesterday. We're going to get into. E.T., you should get that cult expert back on again soonish to expand on what you're already saying. Yeah, I'm telling you, folks, this is a political strategy that I bitterly oppose. I tell anyone that will listen, don't ever do this. Well, that's what Melissa Hortman was doing. She was just positioning herself for her gubernatorial run. That's what that vote was about. And no, this guy didn't kill her for that vote, because that vote actually corresponds to his MAGA. He was a Trump voter. He was a registered Republican. The other talking point that they're throwing out there is that he worked for Tim Walz. Tim Walz appointed him to a position. No, he didn't appoint him to a position. He appointed him to a commission. And let me tell you how these commissions work. Kimber, today I have the means, but I've garnered far more from you, this community, for months and years than I'll ever be able to contribute. Thank you, Texas Paul and community. Kimber, we're just glad you're here. We are just glad you're here. Thank you for supporting the show. It's about building the community. Thank you for being here. But yeah, these commissions are almost exclusively bipartisan. See, this isn't a position in the government. This isn't a position of management. This isn't a position for, no, these are just commissions. These are commissions that are in and of the community. So when governors or mayors appoint people to these commissions, they appoint a spectrum of people, because these commissions have to then have these people that are on these commissions carry their influences out into their spheres. So yeah, they will appoint a right-wing radical evangelical to these commissions, because they will be able to take their influence on whatever this commission is working on and get that support from that community. It is very common that these commissions are bipartisan and whatever. So the talking point, because they know their people are really fucking stupid and have no experience in government. They know that. They're using this and saying because he was appointed to a commission, he worked for Tim Walz. He was a Tim Walz appointee. Therefore, he was a Democrat. Which is bullshit. It's stupidity and bullshit. And again, they're doing it to keep their base from fracturing. Linda Orr, I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. This is who this guy is. Okay? This is who this guy is. And it's fucking gross, man. These people are gross. I literally hate these people.
Il n'y a aucun péché that God can't take care of. Dieu ne peut pas enlever. Nothing. Il n'y a rien. There's people, especially in America. Il y a des gens, particulièrement aux États-Unis. They don't know what sex they are. They don't know how their sexual orientation. They're confused. Ils ne savent pas ce qu'ils sont exactement. Ils ont une confusion. The enemy has gotten so far into their mind and their soul. Et l'ennemi est entré dans le fond de leur pensée et de leur âme. But this word, mais ces paroles, no sin. Et il n'y a aucun péché. That God can't take.
Now, does that anti-trans shit sound like a Democrat to you? No, he was a right-wing evangelical freak. An LGBTQ plus hater. And the reason you're hearing the translation there is because his ministry was in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He was one of these missionaries that goes to Africa and spreads the most viral, disgusting, farthest out there crap. And if you don't know, I'm going to show you some of what's going on with that here in just a second. It's going to horrify you what the face of America is in so many of these African communities. It is just sick. But yeah, here's a little bit more of of Vance Boelter.
Pastor Maurice,
Le pasteur Maurice,
led prayer for America.
il a prié pour les États-Unis.
America's in a bad place.
Les États-Unis, c'est pas un bon endroit.
Pastor Maurice.
Kind of gives you some idea where he's at, right? I mean, even the churches aren't radical enough. There's more to this. If you want to go find, there's a lot of video of him preaching out there. Part of it is he's talking about how the churches aren't radical enough here in America. I mean, you can see where his mindset is. America is bad. It's collapsing. It's all falling. You know, the gays and the transgender people are coming to get us, man. And, you know, I mean, they're all in league with the devil. That's all right-wing evangelical crap. He's a registered Republican. He voted. His roommate says he voted for Trump. He was MAGA. Yeah. Brian Huchin got the 3 mugs, also still recovering from yesterday's stupid murders. Anyway, happy Father's Day, vote blue. I'm glad you got your mugs, my man. I'm glad you got them. I work hard to get those out, and it makes me happy when people let me know that they showed up. I appreciate it, and thank you for the support. That is huge, man. That is huge. We started getting into those three-figure donations. It blows my mind. But look, y'all probably remember this, okay? To get back to what we're talking about, y'all probably remember this. The big dust up with Chick-fil-A. People that know it, some of y'all have probably forgotten. Some of y'all probably never knew what the big dust up with Chick-fil-A was. Why did people, especially, the our LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters led the charge on this, but why? Why were they so pissed off? What were they upset about? Well, look, Trent Cathy, the guy that founded Chick-fil-A, there's a reason it's not open on Sunday. He is very much out there with his religion. Most people that are Christian in this country, they're not for shutting everything down on Sunday. They're not letter of the Bible Christians. They aren't. Trent Cathy was. He was. I mean, he was in that fringe of believers. Rich Lawton, happy Father's Day to you too, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate you being here, brother. I appreciate you being here. He was. And it was bad. It was bad. They supported, Truett Cathy supported a Christian federation here in the United States. But part of what that Christian federation did, and in all fairness, not everything they did, but part of it was they supported missionaries to Africa. Well, folks, this is what their missionary going to Africa was doing. He was supporting this. They were supporting the Kill the Gays bill in Uganda. Uganda passed a bill, and after a huge humanitarian outcry, they changed it from being gay carries a death sentence to being gay carries a life in prison sentence. These evangelicals, these missionaries that are going to Africa are preaching this shit. They're saying we support that. And this is why I try to differentiate for people. When I go after Christians and I go after the church, there are people that recoil that are in our community. They're like, hey, I'm a Christian, man. And the people I go to church with are good people. Yes, you know that sphere of people. You do. I know the fringe. I know what they take your donations, and I know what part of it goes to, and it's murdering people. It is. That's just part of it. It is what it is, man. And when I say I know good Christians that I love deep, that angel right there was from my Aunt Betty, who was a dyed-in-the-wool real Christian, real Jesus in her heart, led with love Christian. Kay Clayton, George Stromitsky. You'll hear me repeat those names over and over and over again when I talk about Christians. These were real Christians. That's not what we're talking about here. That is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about this. We're talking about, on one hand, these organizations. This is from the Southern Poverty Law Center. Good read here. That's why I pull these up, so you can see the headlines. You can go back, you can look at them, and you can say, hey, go back and read these entire articles. Despite denials, harsh anti-LGBTQ plus law in Uganda appears to be based on U.S. rhetoric and pseudoscience. Yeah, we funded it. We sent the missionaries. We made that happen because that is what they believe. The churches denied it. But what the fuck good does it do? And what does it say about you when we know for a fact that these churches that denied it are the same people that paid for the bullshit science and sent the missionaries? And they knew it when they denied it. I don't know. I remember something in church about not lying. I don't remember. It's been a while. I was raised Catholic. My family was Catholic. My father could literally hear a bit of scripture and tell you where to find it in the Bible. He was that versed in the Bible. I deeply remember that there was something about lying in there somewhere. So these churches that are denying this are also writing the fucking checks and sending the missionaries and fucking know they're doing this. And that's what this motherfucking freak that shattered this beautiful family was. That's what he was. He was a MAGA murdering freak. And there's no two ways to get around it. And I know why. I know why they're running the misinformation. For the same reason these fucking churches lie. It's to get the people that are good and decent people to not believe. They don't want to believe. You don't want to believe that the church you go to right now, that you're going to go to this Sunday, and I'm talking to people in our community, is part of a federation. Start asking those questions. See how fast you get kicked out of your church. They are part of a federation. That federation funds this shit. And they lie. They lie about it. And they know it. And they know they're lying. Because it's what's in their core. It's who they are. And they know the damage it does. They know it drives good people away if they know. So they lie to you. They do. They just lie to you. Because they know what they are, they know how fucking evil it is, and they know they'll lose you. That's who this guy is. And that's why you had this instantaneous, massive movement online. And I know I don't think it's Laura Ingraham anymore. I don't think she's the hub. I want to find out who it is. I want to find out who it is that has contacts that it's got to be contacts within Fox News. Somewhere they're in part of that nexus because they're getting the information. The police will directly contact media. They will. There's an apparatus. There's actually an officer whose job it is to coordinate that flow of information so that the media has the information out there that the police want them to have out there. Or to tell the public that they don't want you to know something in particular, that they know it, but they're not going to share it with you. You've heard that before. They know it, but they're not going to share it with you. They just want you to have confidence that they know. They coordinate with these media organizations. Somewhere from that exact point of connection to these massive right-wing radical, click farm, shove the information out nexus, on every platform organizations, this political organization, they're married together, and I want to see that marriage. I want to know who it is. I want to know who's married to who's doing it, who's putting it out, because this was false information. This was misinformation on purpose. And I am sick of it. I am sick and damn tired of it. Folks, people are generally good. They are. Yeah, there's a lot of fucked up people in the world. There are. And even good people, they have broken aspects to them. We're complicated, but generally we're good. And if you just give people information, and here's the thing, you've got a life to live. This is why we have republics, because people have jobs and families and, hobbies and interests and the things that eat up your time. You don't have time to do what the fuck I'm wasting the last part of my life doing, which is just being face first into this shit and following it all micrograin. You don't have time for that. That's why you come here. And they know it. And they're abusing it. They're abusing it. Somewhere between Fox fucking News and these radical ass Republican organizations, I am going to find out. I swear to God, it is my mission in life to find out what the structure is, who's involved, how it's being passed, because it's not Laura Ingraham's fax machine anymore. Mighty cool. So the police are in on this, feeding the right information to spin before it's released. The right-wing rag, the Blaze reporter, was the first to break who the suspect was. Now, here's the thing. The police do this with all outlets, but many police departments have people within their department that are right-leaning. Let's face it, man. Some of the same people that wear hoods wear badges. They do. We saw with that bullshit speech with Hegseth and Trump with the army. They went and vetted out their supporters within the army. They went through their social media and they found their supporters to put behind Trump and Hexet. There are people in all these organizations that are fucking MAGA freaks, and you saw them cheer the sickest shit. This is why I warn you, folks. Our institutions are not going to protect us. There are cops. There are people in the military that when Trump says you go shoot Americans, they're like, woo, yeah. Which is, and I tell you what has just broken my heart. When I saw that person detained by those 2 Marines in LA, I cried. I did. Folks, I became deaf at a very young age, but my first thing that I wanted to do in life was I wanted to be a Marine. I did. I wanted to be in the military. I did. I never served. I was never part of the military because I was deaf. I grew up shooting with no hearing protection. I was damn near deaf by the time I was 18 years old. Just from the amount of shooting. I can shoot, folks. I can shoot. A lot of things there's what they call an instinctive shooter. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I can shoot, folks. I can. But yeah, I've always had this soft spot in my heart for Marines. And when I saw those 2 Marines and I heard someone ask a question and it broke my freaking heart. Who knows? Who here knows? Stop calling stupid things. Wackos lost the Crusades 1,000 years ago, and it still can't cope. I know this radicalism that's in that they sell it, man. They do. Who here knows what the motto of the Marine Corps is? I knew. Who here knows? I knew you folks would know. Semper Fi, or Semper Fi short for Semper Fidelis. What does Semper Fidelis mean? I knew y'all would know. I knew y'all would know. I did. I knew y'all would know. Y'all are amazing people. You really are. Kate Marylight, I have a cable subscription that allows me to pick the top 15 channels I want. Fox News was not one of them. I'm telling you, kills me. Everybody that's got a cable subscription pays Fox News, whether you want to or not. That's right. Always faithful. And somebody asked, and it just cut through me like a knife, man. Semper Fidelis to what? That was a powerful question. They showed those 2 Marines breaking the Posse Comitatus Act. The military cannot be used as law enforcement in our country. It is the fucking law because it is not who we are. We don't put tanks in our streets. And this orange freak bastard is destroying everything we are at our core. And I have to tell you, that will be taught in the history books. That picture of those 2 Marines detaining that young man in direct violation of the Posse Comitatus Act will be taught in history classes. It will either be taught like Kent State is taught, where we had a dark time and recovered, or it will be taught as the beginning of the end, but it will be taught. Ron Slater, thank you for being here, sir. I appreciate you. But that to me was just such a powerful question. Semper Fidelis to what? But yeah, folks, I want to take just a minute and I won't go long on this, I promise. I want to stop for a second. I've always had a soft spot for the military. I have so many members of my family have served in so many different branches of the government, branches of the military. I'm talking Air Force, Coast Guard. My dad was in the Air Force in Korea. We've got a cousin that we love dearly that was a captain in the Coast Guard. He had his own boat. I mean, he was up there. I've had family members in the Navy. I have family, I've always loved the military. And I talked about this. This parade yesterday broke my heart because of this. And had the Army, what the parade was supposed to be about before Trump made it all about him and his birthday and his, bullshit, I want a military parade. Bullshit it was the Army's birthday. It was actually the military's birthday. On June 14th, 1775, the Second Continental Congress passed a proclamation to create 6 trained rifle companies. And that was the birth of the Army. It was really the birth of our military, but it was, you could argue that we had a bit of a Navy before that, but it was the birth of the Army. And it is the day that they choose as their anniversary. And it was a 250th anniversary. And the reason I'm saying this is the right wing is desperately trying to spin this as all of the King's Day protests were because we hate the government and we hate America and we hate the military. No. I promise you, had they just polished up their brass instruments, put those perfect uniforms on, and had the normal celebration, just like we hold reverence for the tomb of the unknown soldier, we would have been there. But the order came down from the commander-in-chief, and it sickens me to call him the commander-in-chief, just like I'm sure it sickens you to hear it. Came down from the commander-in-chief, which was a shameful order. It was shameful to put tanks in our streets, to have a Soviet-style military parade because his pompous ass on his birthday, I want a parade for my birthday. So the the top-ranking members of the Army said, okay, that's what the commander-in-chief wants. And many of them, as we just talked about, were like, yay. And some of them were like, fuck. This is really cleaving our military in half. It really is cleaving our military in half. But it was an order, and they passed that order down the chain of command. And it was shame. It was a shameful order. And it disgraced something that should have been a day of pride for us. It is the 250th anniversary of our Army that protects us. And I know you people. There would have been a few people that are just sincerely in your heart anti-military. You don't believe in war. You don't believe in any of that, and that is how you choose to. That is where you are, and I get that. I do. I understand that you're part of our community. I understand, but most of us would have been there had Trump not made it about Trump and made it a Soviet-style parade. So no, that right-wing talking point is bullshit. We don't hate the Army. We don't hate our military. We loved our country. And the protests yesterday, there was no hate there. And that's what I want to talk about now. That's what I want to get to. That's what I want to close with the show. It was so hard. Everything that we've talked about has been so heavy, but these protests yesterday they healed my heart, man. the overall feeling. JD says, Happy Father's Day, Texas Paul. Drink throat coat. Yeah, no kidding, right? From traditional medicines for the dry, overworked throat, slippery elm will work like magic. I appreciate the tip, my man. I don't have any slippery elm, but I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to sip some warm beverages and stop talking when this is over and enjoy my family. My family's full of chatterboxes anyway, so I'll just be sitting there listening. Sierra, bad baby. Your like button is broken. It is. I'm sorry. Sorry to hear that. Keep hitting it anyway. Keep hitting that thumbs up. Keep hitting that subscribe button. We've got 4,300 people in here right now, and our audience just keeps growing. ET, our community is just growing and growing and growing because you people, we're going to talk more about that here in a little bit. You could tell that they did not want to be there. It showed in the lack of esprit de corps while marching. Yeah, there was a lot of people that just did not want to be there. And there were a lot of people, there are young men in the Army right now that are very confused. They do not understand all of this. They're just not complex creatures. They're young. They're not politically involved. They don't know. All they know is it was blazing hot, massively humid. They dressed to the nines. They showed up. They marched. They did their job, and there was nobody freaking there. Nobody loved them. Nobody supported them. That's what those young people know. That's why we've got to get this message out. We do. We do. Uncle Fatty, our core will remain strong. Maga's core is rotten from the inside out. Hey, say it again. Say it again loud for the people in the back. We will remain strong. The nation will remain because of the strong democratic roots. Love always wins, never without a fight. Yeah. Democracy is not a destination. It's a journey, man. You have to stay at it constantly or it will slip away from you. First, Kevin Milligan, first for the right, pardon me, first to fight for right and freedom and to keep our honor clean. Appreciate you, sir. I appreciate you for putting that quote out there. Monocool, tanks were squeaky and they marched out of sync. Was it a message? No, I don't think so. I think it was just, there were a lot of very disheartened people. It was, I got some images for you. We're going to look at here in a second. It may answer a little bit of that question. Stop coddling stupid. It took the oath. I took the oath at 18, served our country, received my honors. The oath, however, is forever. Semper Fi. I get you, my man. You understand the point of that? I'm definitely not besmirching the Marines. I'm definitely not. It's just, wow. It is time to ask the question, to look all of our Marines, our soldiers, our sailors. It's time to look them in the eye and say, what is your oath to? What are you? Because we saw disgraceful behavior at Fort Bragg, or Bragg. It's not Bragg. It'll never be Braxton Bragg's base ever. I don't care what they call it. That man was a fucking loser. But you get my point though, right? And as far as, there are people, and I want to talk about this real quick. I don't want to get too far off of it before we talk about this. Let me show you something. This is very troubling.
No, I didn't. You're on TV, and now you're pushing me on live television. All right, we didn't touch anybody. You know that's true. You're okay. Thank you. I got it. So you can see, obviously, tensions are extremely high here.
Yeah, because you touched the officer.
We have video testimony. Nobody touched an officer. Okay. Obviously, massively high tensions here. These folks are tired. They are also hot. It's a long day, and it's been a long week. We clearly didn't touch the officers. You're on live television, sir.
Yes, you did.
We're live on the air. Thank you so much. We will stay back. We appreciate what you're doing here. Tensions are high. That was a moment that we haven't experienced very often here. I think that there has been respect between the media and law enforcement here. We have kept our distance. No, I didn't.
There's a lot to unpack there. Let me tell you a little something about law enforcement. They're people, and there are a spectrum of people in law enforcement. It would be nice to say that everybody that wore a badge was good. It would be. Some aren't. There was a video that came out. I'd love to play for you, but it's a YouTube video. I encourage you to go look it up. It was the Kern County Sheriff out in Bakersfield, California, got caught on tape counseling his officers that if he asked him, he said, what's better, if somebody dies or if somebody's injured? He asked his officers this, what's better, if someone dies or if somebody's injured? Somebody screamed out, dead. He said, that's right, 100%. Let me tell you why. If you kill somebody, that's $3 million to the family and they go away. That's it. If you cripple someone, we now have to care for this person for life. He was telling his fucking cops. The sheriff was telling his fucking cops this. And there were cops in the audience that were like, yeah. Now, there was also some very, 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 very quiet cops in that audience. But yeah, there are some old officers that have made their way to the top that are fucking bad people. That guy screaming that you touched an officer, and I guarantee you that's one of two things. That is a guy that is overwhelmed and out of his element, and he is a believer. There's a very much a gang mentality within the police, us versus them. He either truly believed that he touched that officer, which is a no-no in these situations. Do not ever touch a cop, ever, especially at a protest. Ever do not touch a cop. Never. He either truly believed this and he was willing to kill for it, or he was doing something else, which is the thing that I'm going to tell you is fucking awful. There are senior officers in these forces all across the country that train their officers to lie. They train them to know where the lines are so that when it goes to court, the cop walks. They train them to do that. So when you're with an officer and he suddenly starts screaming something that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever or comports to reality whatsoever, you need to know what he's doing, how much danger you're in at that point, because it's just a reality. Now, I'm not rolling up a newspaper and I'm not smacking fucking cops in the mouth like a bad guard dog. I'm not doing that, because I'm going to tell you something. I don't sell bullshit here. I don't push for clicks, and I don't pander to anybody, which means I usually piss off everybody. I'm going to tell you this. This is the goddamn truth about police. They don't look for really smart, cerebral people to be on our police forces, and you don't want them. You don't. Because let me tell you the reality of policing. A cop may have to be violent at any moment. And let me tell you that there is a talk. People love to talk about, well, the cops in the UK aren't like this. Oh, bullshit. Just because they're not armed doesn't mean that they don't put their hands and batons to work, because they do. And I don't even mean against protesters or anything like that. I am talking about they walk into situations where we are being violent, domestic violence or bar fights, or, just all kinds of different fucked up situations that cops must deal with on a daily basis that will lead them to have to be violent on our behalf. I mean, if somebody's beating the shit out of someone, you want a cop to go beat the shit out of that person that's beating the shit out of someone. You're going to ask them to do that. You're going to expect them to do that. You're going to demand that they do that, and you're going to pay them to do that. That's where the intention, exactly. Exactly. There is poor culture, poor training is pervasive in a lot of our police departments. And it is difficult to ask someone to be willing to fucking throw hands at a moment's notice and then smack them in the fucking mouth when they get it wrong. Because you know what? They're going to fuck up. They just are. They're going to fuck up. You know why? They're human. Now you have to put that into the context of, okay, you've got a cop that is a decent cop that goes out there. He tries to de-escalate this, that, and the other. He's brave. When there's a violent situation, he charges in to protect people. He's a good cop. Is mixed in with the kind of cop that has his sheriff tell him, you know, it's better if you kill him. That has that culture, that us, that, you know, he's also steeped in that us versus them culture, because they really do think criminals are subhuman. There really is they're not the same species as the people they police. Many of these cops have a terrible culture and are horrible people. They really are. My sister dated a cop briefly. It was eye-opening for her, because she's a lot like me. She loves people. She cares about people. To hear the way he talked about people, I mean, that relationship lasted like 2 weeks, and she was out of there because he was a sadistic fuck, and he was a 20-year veteran. He was the cop that was training other cops. He was actually kind of a hero on the force to his fellow officers. You know, she would go out drinking with the, you know, people would buy him drinks and this, that, and the other, because he was fucking huge. He had arms like oak trees, man. And if you were in his circle, he was jovial and happy and laughed and this, that, and the other. But man, if you were on the other side of the line, he was a fucking hammer. And that's someone I know personally. I know a guy named David. And that's all I'm going to give you is David, that I grew up with. We used to go dancing when we were kids, 20, 21 years old. We would go out to Flores Country Store out in Helotes, Texas. We would go out to, you know, just boot scooting and this, and he was the funniest, happiest. You see him, you know, you ever see somebody that you make eye contact and they're like, hey, you know what I mean? That guy, that happy, always wanted to be a cop, got his dream. He did. He became a Bexar County cop. And Bexar County cops start in the jail. Within 6 months of him being a cop, we couldn't be around him. The David we knew was gone. All he talked about was kicking ass. And he started to bring several of his cop friends to our, you know, we'd get together on Saturday night and go out dancing. This, he started to bring several of his cop friends. And they were like a fucking gang, man. What are you looking at? And we just had to quit hanging out with him, man. And he went from being one of the greatest, funnest guys you've ever met to just couldn't be around him. And I have to tell you, knowing these people personally, I know how people become jaded. This is a complex situation, folks. It is not one that we're going to solve with a talking point, with a universal, you know, people that are like ACAB. I don't know if y'all know about the ACAB movement. All cops are bastards is the fucking stupidest movement in the world. It's simple and it's lazy, because it's not the case. What about the cop that you want to show up when your mom's boyfriend's beating the shit out of her? Is he a bastard? No. It's going to take so much. It's going to take a generation to clean up our policing in this country. It is. Because I am telling you, we have some really fucked up old officers in these departments that are exuding or using their influence, their culture. And if you don't think it's true, I want you to go to the NYPD. I want you to take a look at their union representative. He's a fucking psycho. The chief of the NYPD union is a fucking psycho. That's my personal opinion of the man. If you ever listen to him talking to the press or anything, he is detached from fucking reality. So yeah, it's complex. It is complex. It's not easy. But that being said, my God, these No King's Day protests were amazing. Just amazing. Despite that some of them in like LA and stuff had these confrontations because these officers are fucking out there like this guy just going fucking psycho for no reason. The people, it was incredible, man. I loved, there were so many different signs. There were so many great freaking signs. It was just, it was amazing. It really was. The people were so excited. And the refrain I'm hearing from people is, man, they really thought there was going to be a lot of negativity there. They thought there was going to be a lot they thought there was going to be a lot of pushback from right wingers, and that didn't materialize. We had a couple idiots show up where I was at Tyler, Texas. It was just like 3 or 4 people. That was it. Let me tell you how big these things were. Normally in Tyler, Texas, when we have something like this, 300 to 500 people showing up, man, that's a good day. That's a good day. We had about 1,500 people show up in Tyler, Texas. Let me tell you something. Those kind of numbers change every election. Those kind of numbers change every election. And something else that was just huge when I was giving my speech is always trying to get people back to voting, trying to get people back to doing those things that actually lets us change things. And it was diverse. I mean, all of the different factions that make up our communities, our Democratic community are out there. And everybody was like, yeah, we got to vote. Yeah, we do. No one out there was like, well, let's teach them a lesson and we're going to make them all see it our way. And this, no, man, it was togetherness. It was positivity. Yeah, there were chants, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go, and this, and that. I mean, there were chants and stuff that were, I lost my voice. I was chanting so much, and leading chants so much. And I got to tell you, one of the best moments was, I think I either created or found a monster. I did. I really think I did. Either created or found her. She was already there, and I just found her, or I created a monster because I was walking up and down the block leading chants. And one of the things I was doing was there were people standing there holding signs that weren't chanting. So I would stop, wait, and I'd quiet the crowd down. And I'd put that person on the spot in a fun way, in a happy way. I would walk up to him and I'd be like, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear you. Let's try that again. And I would start the chant up again with just me and them. I did that a couple different times, and then the crowd would jump in and everybody would be happy and it would cheer. It was so great. It was great, man. Everybody was so, I don't even know the words for it. You people probably have better words for it than I do, but I get about halfway down and there's this young woman there. And I really kind of felt bad because I did that. I walked up and I was like, huh. And oh my God, you could just see deer in the freaking headlights, man. I embarrassed her. I did. And I did not mean to. She was between 16, 18 years old. And we went through that. And I gave her a hug, and the crowd cheered for her. And then we started chanting again, this, that, and the other, right? So I moved on down the line. I come back by in about 15, 20 minutes, and that same girl that was sitting there timid and quiet was out there in front of everybody. Yeah! I was oh my God, I created a monster. All right, man. It was great. It was great. It really was, man. It was great. And so many happy people and so diverse. Normally, and this is one of the things that just really just hit me right in the heart, man. Normally, when one of these things happens, I'm the young blood. I'm the youngster. It's people that have experience, that work within the Democratic Party, that know what's going on. They're the diehards that show up. They know how important this is. They've got the experience, and it's usually a very geriatric affair. Not these rallies, not these protests. It was beautiful. And you know what? These kids are here to stay. There were so many people that were, late teens. Some people brought their families with young children, but as far as actually cheering and stuff like that, it was everything from late teens, 20s, 30s, 40-year-olds. It was, I would say probably 2/3 of that crowd was young people younger than me to much younger than me. It was, man, it was like, and when I was giving my speech, I kind of called that. I was like, look at this. This is the future. This is the future. And they all knew that the assignment. They are all going to vote. And this is what I'm telling you, folks, man. I am telling you, this is why I encourage people, get involved with your local Democratic Party. I know I'd say this all the time. Just stick with me and we'll get through this. Get involved with your local Democratic Party, because it really is. It's a bunch of old folks that really know how the system works, but they are old folks. And having young folks come in and learn from these people. Don't go in and try to take control and change the world. You're talking about people that have been around the block so many times. They're the tour guide. Go learn from these people so that our next generation can be as powerful and effective as these people are. It was incredible. It really was. And I have to say it. Hats off to Boston. Whoo, look at that crazy hair. Hats off to Boston. You win. You did. This is Boston. There were so many massive protests. It was great. I mean, you're talking, the estimates are upwards of 10 million people. Crazy. But Boston, I believe, I could be wrong. If somebody knows, then yeah. But if Boston, look at this crowd. And this is just the beginning. It actually got larger than this. It actually, there's video. It had to branch off the commons and into different areas. Yep. Estimates are in excess of 1 million people showed up in Boston. How freaking crazy is that? How crazy is that? What does that tell you about what's going to happen in the midterms? That is just, I'm telling you, you couldn't slap the smile off my face yesterday. You couldn't. And that's what I'm telling you. This is the common refrain I'm hearing. And I want to hear from you folks. If you did not hear, what did you hear? What did you see? I know there was some somberness, especially in the Minnesota rallies. There were, they encouraged people not to go because this guy, Boulter, had intended to target the King's Day rallies with his violence. So they would just out of an abundance of caution were suggesting people not go. There was some somberness up in Minnesota, but people turned out anyways, even to being despite not to go. And several of these rallies had moments of silence for whatever, but for the most part, these rallies were so positive and so happy and so uplifting. And I talked to so many people that had never done this before. And they were like, wow, I'm just amazed at how positive the smiles, everybody, this wasn't an angry event. The right wingers trying to, sit there and bullshit their way through, trying to say, oh, this is hate. You hate America. You hate America. Bullshit. These people were waving, flags. This was about making America better, man. There couldn't have been more love anywhere. It was so great, man. It was so amazing. You couldn't slap the smile off my face yesterday. You just couldn't. What was your experiences there? Because I have to tell you, these right wingers, their little shindig, not so much. Not so much.
All of our lives. And it will not matter. Believe me, if Donald Trump is president again, at some point or another, that ugliness will touch all of our lives. And it will not matter what you look like, how you worship, who you love, or how you vote. If you don't make 6 or 8 or 12 figures, if you're not famous, if you criticize or disagree with him in any way, if he doesn't view you as his equal or relevant to his ambitions, I promise you, he will not think about you when he gets in. Believe me, if Donald Trump is president again, at some point or another, that ugliness will touch all of our lives. And it will not matter what you look like, how you worship, who you love, or how you vote. If you don't make 6 or 8 or 12 figures, if you're not famous, if you criticize or disagree with him in any way, if he doesn't view you as his equal or relevant to his ambitions, I promise you, he will not think about you when he gets in.
Look at these pathetic crowds. Look at those pathetic crowds. Isn't it just, I mean, that was the days. That is supposed to be where it was supposed to be biggest and best, where the cameras were going to be, where they put the army posters up, where they put there's nobody freaking there. It was sad. There were more police than there were people in most of these, along this parade route. That was just an embarrassment for our country. Just an embarrassment for our country. Trump is constantly an embarrassment to our country. And he looked like you could tell he runs his mouth. He makes these things happen. And he's a child. He gets bored. And then you just see him there. Just bored and pathetic. Not inspiring to anybody. It's just amazing. It is just amazing. It really is, that just the difference. It is amazing, the difference between what we saw in the No King's Day rallies, the positivity, the excitement. Just amazing. It was so happy, so fucking great, man. And all of these people are just here. They're going to turn out, folks. They are. This just bodes well for the midterms. I am telling you, this is an opportunity like no other. This election is going to be such a backlash election. And if you get involved where you can just do a little bit of volunteering, a little bit of, even if you can't go and you can't show up and you can't, postcard for people, but get plugged into your local party. That was something that so many people here in Tyler, Texas, they were just like, wow, I didn't know these things were this freaking great. They will be there from now on because they had this incredible positive experience. And that's what I've been begging people to do, is to get involved so that you can feel what I already feel, what I already know what's happening. Because let me tell you something. This is the truth, and this is what I want to wrap it up with. This midterms is it. If people do the same stupid shit where they're divisive and they stay home and they whine about their one thing, and they're going to teach the Democrats a lesson, this, that, and the other. I want you to think about how the Republicans are acting now. Because if they do well in the midterms, they will have a mandate to do all of this and more. It will be their pass. It'll be their permission slip. If we don't unite, and that's what I saw yesterday, was just so many diverse people with different, their issue, their important issue. They were united. They were united. Now we need to facilitate that. We need to help get those people that have lives, that have, take a little bit of our own time and pull it all together so that these people can show up and they can vote, and we can give Democrats a super majority, and we can smack these fucking fascists right in the mouth. Yeah. Have no patience for the negative people, the cynics, because this is it. If we fail, everything that we believed in as a country is over. There's really no choice. And I really appreciate you being here, folks. I really, 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 really appreciate you being here. I do. Paulette Tansel, thank you, Texas Paul. We appreciate you. When is the next big protest? We must keep the momentum. Watch this space. I would love to see another economic boycott. They are so effective, especially when the economy is going south. Just, it makes your economic boycott even just that much more effective when we're seeing, the economy just collapsing. Because, imagine what's easy, where are you going to cover the most ground and cover the most distance? When you're pushing a car uphill, or when that car is rolling downhill and you're making it roll that much faster. I'd love to see another economic protest. I really would. They are incredibly effective, because nothing will make the Broligarchs go home, take their ball and go home, like us making them poor. For them to have consequences of their actions. Rita Smith, great turnout in Yakima, Washington for the No King protest. There is hope for the midterms. Vote. Did you see Donald J. Trump's sour face during the parade? He was a mess. He was a pathetic petulant little child. His little birthday got ruined. His little birthday party got ruined. Parallel chat. Thank you for supporting. I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce that. That was the delay there. I really appreciate you folks. I really appreciate you being here. E.T., I have gotten involved with my local Democratic Party. Are you? Get involved. Hold the line. I'm telling you, they're going to be so happy to see you. They are. They really are. So, folks, we got a few minutes left for roundtables. What I really wanted to close with is I wanted to know, those of you that went, kind of put out there what it was like for you where you were at, so that folks that didn't get to go can kind of see what they missed. You know, what happened where you were at? What town did you protest in? And what was it like? What was it like? Forgive the dead air and the pause, but I'm reading your comments. I want to. Alio says New York City, and it was epic. Kind of, if you can put a little meat on the bones on that. Kind of tell people what was what was the mood that people are in? You know, was it uplifting? I mean, did it make you happy? Did it make you? I know it touched my heart. It really did. It healed my heart. Seeing so many diverse people. What were your protests like? Starry Lens D says 4,000 strong in Tucker, Georgia. That's huge, man. Peaceful and very organized. Outstanding. Outstanding. East Grand Forks, Minnesota. It was fun. It was, man. It was a lot of fun. Huntsville, Alabama, better than I'd hoped. The Soulcraft, do you mind expanding on that a little bit? What you mean by that, better than you'd hoped? Because that was a refrain that I've heard from so many people. Not what they expected. Way better than what they expected. Joplin, Missouri, it was smiles, love, positivity. And so, yeah, it was, man. It really was. And I Kelly Miller, I agree where you're going there. You didn't get the whole thought out, but yeah, Utah, that was huge. That was shocking to a lot of people. Deep LDS country, ruby red areas controlled by the LDS church had massive turnouts. That I have to tell you, when I tie into the right wing stuff, those are the kind of things that are shocking them. Those are the kind of things that are shocking them. Kit B says, I was in Yorktown, Virginia, and it was very loving and accepting of everyone, very positive, had a wonderful time, and gave me hope. Yep. There were so many different people. There was one couple there that had spikes all over their vests, and you can tell they were very counterculture people, man. You know, I mean, just the young lady had a mohawk haircut that was bright yellow. And they were standing right next to little old church ladies. It was great, man. It was great. And they were all cheering, man. They were all chanting. Where were you at, Paco? What town? Yeah, Philly was huge, man. I'm telling you, if you wanted to do some uplifting things, social media is full of postings from different towns that are just, you know, they're talking about you can just go look up wherever you were at or wherever you folks that didn't get to come next time. You missed a good deal. You really did. Jordan, how about the turnout in Boise, Idaho? Yeah, That's what I'm talking about. That has the right wingers freaking out. Thanks for the support, by the way. Thank you. That has the right wingers really freaking out. That is something that is on their in their discussion. Is what the hell is going on with these protests in Idaho, of all places. Yeah, small towns. Bernie, Texas had a turnout, and Bernie, Texas is small. I was talking to somebody from Bernie, Texas. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, at least double the number that they expected turned out peaceful and creative in signs and chants. Yeah, we had 3 to 5 times here in Tyler, 3 to 5 times larger audience than normally turns out for these. It was huge. Zeb S. Palm Harbor, I was proud. A great turnout, greater turnout than expected. More thumbs than fingers from the cars, and surprisingly good number of white middle-aged dudes. Hey, did y'all do what we do, where we're at a park, but we're not all like backs to the street talking to each other? They stand at the edge and wave to the cars that are going by with signs that tell people to, man, there were so many people honking in support and stuff. It was freaking great, man. It was great. Flagstaff, Arizona, 3,000 people were there, very energized, honking, cheering. Yeah, it was great. Gulfport, Mississippi, with over 1,000 people. Great energy. People connected for the future they want. Yep. And I got to tell you, I normally talk about voting at these things, and I get pushback from people that are like, oh no, I can't, I'm too cool for school, I can't do that. None of that. Everybody was like, hell yeah, we got to vote. It was like, it surprised me. It did. It surprised me how positive everybody was about the voting message. 2,000 people in East County, San Diego, all ages, wonderful people, great time. I was in downtown LA. Everyone was friendly, helping each other, peaceful. And you know what? The corporate media, they're going to find those. They are, and they're running the same clip over and over and over and over and over again on all the freaking channels. They go find one freaking numbskull in LA that got stupid, and there were tens of thousands of people that were happy and peaceful and joyous and all the corporate media shows over and over and over again is just one or two idiots being freaking idiots. Flint, Michigan, a lot of friendly patriots with smiles. Glad I participated. Me too, brother. Me too. The number of you people in our community that walked up to me like, hey, yeah, man, I gave out so many. I was telling Laura, I said, if I don't get COVID or the flu or something, I was, oh God, I had to laugh. I was so freaking sweaty, man. I sweated through I'm gonna have to go get a new hat. You can't really see it, but I put stains in my brand new hat. When you wear these hats, you've got work hats that have stains from sweat and stuff in them. And then you've got your nice hat. This was my nice hat. And like a dummy, I wore my nice hat. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was sweating through my hat. My shirt I was literally drenched all the way down. And the number of people that still walked up in there, I'm like, I was glad, trying to give me a hug. I'm glad I will hug you, but I got to tell you, I am, and they're like, oh, it was great, man. It was freaking great. The number of people from our community and everybody in our community, big smiles, excitement. You are the best people. You are the best people. This right here was a conversation that me and Mrs. Texas Paul had. This is the only negative bit of apprehension I had. Trump is going to be incorrigible. We ruined his little birthday party, and he ain't happy about it. You saw how miserable he was. I want you to think for a second. That petulant child. And this is what I'm going to leave it with. That petulant child had his little birthday party ruined. and he is not going to take it well. He is, I guarantee you, he is a miserable little fucker today. He is. And he's just looking for ways, that personality, that sociopath personality, that psychopath personality where he's just focused on himself and he's angry and he's hurt and he's going to lash out. He is going to lash out. He is, he is. Oh, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Y'all are too kind. Every time I talk about it, I am not angling for support there when I tell you about things like this. It's just us having a conversation. Y'all are always so damn grateful, generous. Generous is the word I was looking for. I really appreciate it. It blows my mind. It really does. It blows my mind. Marianne Giesler. Oh yeah, narcissists do this crap. They do. I mean, think about that. Think about Trump and his little baby bullshit, psychopath, freaking freakish mindset, looking at those images of nobody at his big birthday parade. The fucking army's going to pay for this. They always lash out at the people around them. The army's going to pay for this. The Stephen Miller. Oh yeah. I believe, it is my personal opinion, that Donald Trump is a white supremacist at his core. And he is on board with Stephen Miller. That's why these guys get so much traction. It's not just that they move their bigot base, that they feed their bigot base. It's that I believe he's along for that ride. But I think there's going to be trouble in that marriage, because Trump isn't an idiot. He knows this is all going south because of this immigration bullshit. That was the big catalyst. When he lost the immigration narrative, which they have completely lost, by the way, all of the poll numbers, the only thing that he paused, was not underwater in, was immigration. That was it. That was the only issue that he was not underwater in, was immigration. And he is now underwater in immigration by like 4 points. Yeah. There's going to be hell to pay in his inner circle, because it's never Trump. It's never Trump. It's always going to be the people around him. People are going to go under the fucking bus for this. Lori Dex for the new night set. Oh, appreciate you, Lori. Thank you. Jordan, Trump's birthday song, "It's My Birthday and I'll cry if I want to, cry if I want to." I love that, man. I love that. I love that. And Kim Jong-un, that's going to have hang time, man. That is good. That is good. Well, look, folks, it has been great spending time with you. I can't stress to you enough, and I wanted to leave you on a good note. These Snow King's Day protests were amazing. That positive feeling that everybody has, that's addictive. That is addictive. It really is. People like that, and they're going to do it again, and they're going to do it again. And as long as we keep staying positive, keep that peaceful message going forward, keep having just these great, success. Success was addicting. It is. We're going to turn this into votes. We're going to do well by our country. We're going to put our institutions back on the right track. You talk about hope, man. Yesterday healed my heart. It did. It really did. Thank you for spending time with me. I love you, folks. Have a wonderful day and enjoy some Texas cities at night.